Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Facebook Ads with the Twang podcast. I'm your host, Ben Blackman, and on this episode, I'm just going to say farewell because this will be the last Facebook Ads with the Twang podcast. I don't want to say ever, but probably ever. Here comes episode 106. Facebook Ads with the Twang is dedicated to taking the often overcomplicated process of creating simple, successful Facebook ads, breaking them down step by step in less than 10 minutes at a time. Let's get started. Welcome everybody to episode 106. And there's not going to be a whole lot on here about Facebook ads per se exactly, but I do have a couple of things to mention to you about Facebook ads just in general. The first thing though is I just want to tell you how unbelievably grateful I am for you all listening to the episodes and giving me great feedback. And the things that for quite a while, if you typed in Facebook ads into iTunes or whatever, this podcast came up number one. So that was pretty awesome, and I really enjoyed that. For quite a long time I was pretty consistent about publishing episodes once a week, sometimes twice a week. And over time that I just got kind of to the point where I wanted to do more. And, the pandemic hit and that kind of thing. So I, kind of backed off some and did some other things because business really picked up. It was doing great before the pandemic, and then it was doing amazingly well after or during and after. I just had other things I needed to get done. And I did miss doing the episodes. I will say that. So I don't want you to think I didn't miss that. So I just want to say I'm really grateful for you all. And it's really been nice. Just to give you an idea, because I want to mention this because I think this is important. So let me just tell you how I got this whole podcast off the ground. So I had this idea for Facebook ads with a Twang, and I'd actually was talking to a mastermind group of mine about using that terminology with a Twang. And I had one guy that said, oh yeah, I wouldn't do that and stuff. And then I had somebody else that said, hey, if you're going to do it, then own it. And normally I don't like those kind of cliche things, but it was true. I was like, that makes sense. If I'm going to do it, just do it. And the other thing is that, so I decided on the name. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I knew what it was going to be about. I knew I wanted to make it under 10 minutes at a time most of the time. And what I didn't know how to do was produce it, because probably like a lot of people, I guess, I'm assuming, I don't really know this, but I'm thinking that a lot of people, including myself, believe that there's all this production that has to be done for your podcast. And what I found out is that's not really true at all. I do think it's important for the audio quality to be good, but it doesn't have to be awesome. It's really about the content. If you're providing great content, then, people are going to listen and watch and so forth. So when it came to actually producing it, this is how I would go ahead and make out a base outline script, okay? Come up with a topic, and I actually would go ahead and come up with several topics, either for a couple of months or something along those lines, so I could kind of batch record as much as I could. And I would sit down, and I used Camtasia. Now, I'm not using Camtasia for this one. I'm actually using something different because I'm testing it out, ironically. But I would use Camtasia, and I would go in and record the podcast, and I would do, even though it's more of a video, software and that kind of thing, I thought, I know how to, and it seemed relatively simple to me. So I'd go in, and for the podcasts that didn't have any video associated with them, I would go ahead and just edit out the video, or edit out the video part of it, and just work on putting the intro and putting the outro. I didn't do anything fancy on the intro and outro on that one. I just recorded it myself. I found some music that was, I can't remember if it was copyright free or I purchased it. Either way, it doesn't. Just make sure you don't use something that's copyright protected unless you have the right to use it. I wouldn't want to get in that situation. And then I just add it to the the beginning and the end. So I recorded the intro in its Camtasia WAV file, meaning I just took the intro music and I recorded it and saved it. So now I just import it into Camtasia when I'm editing the actual episode of the podcast, and then I just splice it in there. I don't really have to, do a lot of editing and stuff. Because I didn't want to worry about that. I didn't want to worry about how many times I'm saying okay and stuff like that, because I know I do that a lot already. And I just didn't really want to do that. The interesting thing about what I'm using right now, Descript, is it'll edit out most of those for me automatically, more or less. So that's kind of neat. So maybe you won't hear so many of those. Maybe there won't be that many on this episode. There might be a whole bunch taken out that you didn't even know was taken out. That's kind of cool. So that's how I did it. And the reason and let me just kind of finish that up. So I use Libsyn, which there's a lot of podcast hosting platforms. Libsyn was one that a friend of mine who's been podcasting for, 15 plus years, 18 years, something like that. That's the one that he uses, and he suggested, so I've used it. There are other platforms, and I haven't used any of those, so I can't speak to them. I do Libsyn in the fact that it'll publish to multiple places, relatively easy, and you have a lot of options there with it and so forth. And I kind of like the reporting part of it too, so that's kind of neat. I just upload it to Libsyn, and actually I give it to my assistant, and she does a few things and creates the podcast image and that kind of thing, and then uploads it to Libsyn and gets it going. So that's what happens. And anyway, that's how it works. And I just want to let you know you can do that too. You don't have to overthink it. You don't have to try to make it perfect or edit the heck out of it. I tell you what's funny is I'm watching these for this software that I'm using, Descript. They're talking about podcasting and editing and stuff. And man, I don't know how long they spend on editing, but it's a long time, it looks like. And I'm not into that. I'm like, done is better than perfect. Just get it out there. You can worry about, having somebody edit it for you later, or learning how to edit it yourself and that kind of thing. I just want to get mine out there without worrying about it too much. Anyway, that's that. The other thing I want to talk about just on this one is, and this is concerning Facebook ads themselves, don't overthink your ads. So that happens a lot.
Less than 10 minutes at a time. Let's get started.
And, when something's not working exactly and the ads have only been running a day, they want to change something. Well, I do too, right? I want to fix it. I want to, if it's not getting what I think it ought to be getting, and I want to do something else with it and make some changes. And what I'm going to tell you is don't overthink your ads, and don't have your expectation level way up here. Your expectation level really needs to be a lot lower than that, because ads, for most people, aren't the end all be all. They're a supplement. And so make sure your expectation level is in check with your ads. So don't overthink them. Don't worry about if the image is exactly right, if the copy is exactly right. I mean, sometimes what's going to happen is the thing you think won't work does, and vice versa. I mean, that's just how it works. You have to put it out there. The audience gets to decide. The cool thing about doing Facebook ads is that you can test a lot and put those kind of things out there real quick. And don't forget, your audience size is huge. Most people in the audience will never see your ad. So don't worry that somebody's going to see it and then hold it against you later, or mock you or something like that. They won't even remember it. I mean, you can't remember an ad after you see it unless you see it again. Then you might recall it, but otherwise you couldn't recall it if you had to. Don't worry about it. Just get it out there. And then I want to kind of give you a bit of a warning. And I don't say that ominously. I just want to say this because I've mentioned it many times on many different episodes, but it's perfectly okay to use Facebook ads by itself in the beginning. I get that. You've got to do what you got to do, and you may not be able to do it on multiple platforms. Fine. Totally understand. However, you want to make sure that you are ready to move your marketing to other platforms and use other platforms. And that could be YouTube. That could be direct mail. You want to be growing your email list so you're as much in control of getting in front of your people as you can be. You do not want to count on Facebook, or anybody for that matter. And they can take it away from you as easily as they've given it, for whether it's right or wrong. In other words, they could shut your ad account down for literally no reason and with no explanation and no recourse. I see it happen. Be careful. Don't put all your eggs in one basket when it comes to stuff like this. It's okay in the beginning, but as soon as you can, scale off that platform. Get another way to get in front of your people. Make sure you have multiple marketing methods. I kind of like that MMM, multiple marketing methods. I might use that from here on out. So anyway, I think hopefully you understand that. And by the way, if you haven't listened to others, I've lost multiple businesses because I didn't have multiple marketing methods. There's this story that I tell about using broadcast fax, and if you've never heard of broadcast fax, there's a reason, because one day the government shut it down. In one day it was gone. So people who were making millions, and I know people who were, sending out basically blast fax, so spam via fax, who were sending them out could no longer do it anymore. There were huge fines associated, and it was all over. The government made the change, and they weren't prepared for it. I don't want you to be like that, okay? All right, that's my warning. Lastly, and what I think is most important, is I want to invite you to come listen to Ads with the Twang. That's the new podcast. Please go to adswiththetwang.com, please, and get registered so you can get notified. And then as soon as Ads with the Twang comes out, leave me a review and send me that information so I know you left me a review, so I can get you your free courses, which I talked about in the last couple of episodes. And I can also enter you into a drawing to win a free iPad or iPhone or whatever it is that you want. So go to adswiththetwang.com, enter in your name and email, and I will, send you out a notice when the first episode comes out, which should be, and just when you're listening to this episode, it should be within a week or two. Okay? All right. It has been seriously my pleasure. Don't hesitate to message me if you need anything at all. I'll do what I can, and I will see you on Ads with the Twang. All right. Bye.